The Battletech universe is a big, big place. The narrative is big, and in the tech manuals, both for mechs and tanks, all the various mechs and machines, all the variants on there, there's a lot to explore. There are extensive rules for vehicle creation and creating your own mechs on there. They're represented. And I think with 3D printed mechs and pulling in tanks from other gaming lines, whether they're sci-fi or kind of futuristic, there's a lot of possibilities to custom design your vehicles and find miniatures that match that. And one of the things that I've been exploring, the challenge I have in creating and playing my own mechs, I've done it from time to time when I'm not running stock or some of the more popular variants that I enjoy. But to be honest with you, and I know there's a lot of you out there that create and run your own mechs, I mean, that is an important part of the game. But there's so many stock mechs that I just love themselves, and so many mechs that I have literal years and years of playing on there that there's just not enough time. But with vehicles in other wargaming systems, I am a massive, massive treadhead. I love tanks. World War II historicals, that's what's kind of pulled me in to tanks because I love all the tanks in the game. Warhammer 40,000, I love all the tanks in the game. If I can play tanks, I will. So Battletech in there, there's a lot of really cool tanks, and I love experimenting with them. One of the tanks that I'm working on designing right now, and I'll get some feedback, I'll get some insider consideration, then I'll kick out a couple of bribes, get some contracts in the inner sphere, offer a buyer discount of 10% more if you sign up for the service plan on there, and we'll push it out with better reliability than any quick sell type product. For a tank, what I'm looking at is, first question is main gun. I'm thinking about a large laser. Right away I'm like, okay, AC-20s. Well, there's a Demolisher there. And the Demolisher tank, I think, in terms of an AC autocannon 20 platform, mounting two of them, it works. I don't just want to kind of design a tank that already exists, especially since I'm looking at kind of a main battle tank, throwing down 3, 4, or 5 of these tanks, having some serious bite in there. Give them some serious bite, but not break the eternal question, of course, not break the bank in terms of battle value, because I've got to get all my other mechs and all my other toys and all my other infantry on there and my warriors and my Karnovs and everything. So I'm not going to go crazy with the weapons because I'm keeping that battle value down. I'm trying to keep that tonnage down, but at the same time, we need to have a little bite. So I'm looking at a large laser simply because it's got okay range, it's got good damage potential, the 8 points, compared to, say, a PPC, which has longer range, but it has the minimums. I'm a little bit hesitant if you're going to mount a primary offensive weapon. This is going to be the main weapon on the tank. I'm a little bit weary and cautious of mounting something that has a minimum on there because I want this tank to be able to excel at multiple roles and focus in the game. It's one thing to be out of range, but eventually we're going to be at range or under range. We're going to be point blank. I don't want to be limited by anything on there. So I'm looking at large laser on there, mounting it on a turret. That opens it up to some vulnerabilities. That changes some things a little bit, but there is value in having that main gun on a turret for that. So at least if I get immobilized, because we've looked at this in some previous podcasts and my vlogs up on the channel under the Battletech playlist, one of the primary weaknesses of tracked and wheeled vehicles is motive hits on there to get quickly chewed down, and now you don't have that mobility and you're kind of locked in place. At least with a turret, if I get reduced to being a pillbox, a bunker, I've got that rotation. I can spin the turret. Yes, the turret could become locked. I mean, things are going to happen, but I'm trying to build in some conditions there to make that happen. So if we take a large laser and we put it on a turret, that's the primary weapon. So now as a secondary weapon, First question I ask is, if I'm trying to keep this cheap, I'm trying to keep the battle value down, I want to get 5 of these on the table, kind of these sci-fi future tanks on there, do I even need a secondary weapon? Do I even need that secondary weapon on there? Second question, and then we'll hold the secondary weapon for a second. Second question is machine guns. Machine guns. I don't want to get chewed up by infantry. It's one thing to operate out in the open. It's one thing to operate on hills and grasslands, or maybe like the new grassland hex maps by Catalyst. They are fantastic. A lot of tactical options. It's got that kind of semi-city tech, kind of mech-based, generic base on there, for a great attack-defense scenario. That works. But real, true city fight, city tech going in there, infantry are going to be everywhere. And while I'm going to have infantry units working with the tanks on there, they always can't be everywhere. They always can't engage everywhere. And if I get ambushed, I need to have an answer for that infantry unit on there. So I'm thinking just machine guns. I mean, that's like tank warfare 101. You've got some sort of machine guns on there. So mounting the machine guns. I don't consider that a secondary weapon. That's anti-infantry. Secondary weapon needs to be able to effectively engage other tanks, and it effectively needs to be able to engage other mechs that are out there. So now this has me looking, because again, I'm trying to keep that battle value reasonable, short-range missiles. Short-range missiles, because I've got the large laser for range. When we get closer, I've got the short-range missiles, and I also have the large laser. That's got, I know we're looking at like the Bulldog essentially, right? But that's got some bite on there. That really does have some bite. I think at that point, mounting it in the hull, going for a 6-pack. I mean, we might as well on there. I think 2 is no good. A 4-pack, at that point, considering I'm only going to have these 2 weapons and machine guns, maybe I want to up it to the 6. So the large laser, the 6-pack, the machine guns on there. Armor distribution, of course, putting up as much as I can on the front. Try to cut the corners on the back where I can. Speed, based on the fusion, I have to look at that. The fusion level, that's going to push the C-bills. Could we go ICE, internal combustion? I only need it to keep up with the assault mechs and the heavy mechs. I'm not looking for speed. This is a true kind of heavy battle tank. I don't want it to be the behemoth where it's moving like just 2 and 3. I made a mistake in a game a while ago where I took some behemoth tanks, and I hadn't really played them in a while. A lot of battle value, a lot of stuff. A great, fun tank to play, but the speed is like, it's like an urban mech or slower than an urban mech. And I knew this. This is the one thing where it in the tech manual and you see it, but you need to play it enough or be aware enough that it makes that computation, that flow immediately onto the game itself. And I was defending a large city against the clans, and they were going to come from multiple directions. I really wasn't quite sure where. So I took the behemoth, put one on the left, one on the right. As soon as I did that, we deployed. The game was about to start. I already deployed. There's no take back. I realized one of these tanks, battle value gone, because the clans, even though they have the tech, they don't have the numbers on the battle value. They're going to come in on one side. There might be some elements attacking from another side, but the primary thrust is going to be on one side. I don't know which side. It's going to be on one side. So one behemoth will make it into play, which it does. The other one will spend literally the entire game moving across the table. I would have been better to deploy in the center. Better deploy in the center so I could move to one left or right, or quite frankly, do a refused flank. I think I would have been better off doing that. Refused flank is where you pile up, everything on one side, or not everything, then you have nothing. Taking those behemoth tanks and putting them on the side, one of the sides, the left or right side, now means I've committed to that side. You want to come in, there's 2 behemoth tanks there. You got to deal with those plus whatever else is there. But at a minimum, you do not want to deal with those tanks, even if you've got clan tech. So you're going to go on the other side. I don't earn the battle value. This is the equation, the question. You don't earn the battle value in terms of if I put those behemoth tanks there and my opponent doesn't engage, that's wasted battle value, but was it worth the battle value to force them to come on one side? It would be if that side was particularly weaker on there. So that's what I'm looking at for the tanks, and I'm sourcing out some 3D and some kind of sci-fi prints, seeing what we can do. I need more tanks. I need more tanks. I need more Battletech stuff. I need more terrain. I want to really, really boost stuff to new levels, because this is, on a side note, this is kind of the interesting thing right now with the Catalyst Kickstarter, waiting for those plastic mechs to drop. They cannot get here fast enough. But the good news for that is I've been able to successfully, I got a couple of more clan mechs, and I did pick up a Banshee, metal Banshee, because I wanted to put that into my Merc company on there after some amazing feedback you guys passed my way from the Banshee video vlog. But essentially my mech collection has, I won't say stalled, it has paused for a moment, because I'm waiting for the new plastics that are going to arrive. So in the meantime, that means I can focus on tanks and terrain and buildings and things like that for Battletech.